It looked like the fans spoke. It looks like the fans said, hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go. Caitlin Clark fans clearly no showing the Indiana Fever versus the Las Vegas Aces. It was smacked.
Empty. Not a slow crowd trickling in late, not a bad camera angle. Empty. And this is a Las Vegas home game. So the question basically asks itself, where did everybody go?
It will cost you more to get a small fry with no burger and no drink than it would have cost to sit in the 100 section in the lower bowl. This is crazy. The Las Vegas Aces got absolutely smacked by the Indiana Fever as Caitlin Clark fans no-show.
Seats in the lower bowl going for less than a value meal at a drive-thru. That's not a discount, that's a fire sale, and it's happening in a building that normally isn't giving tickets away. The obvious explanation is that Caitlin Clark didn't make this trip, and a huge chunk of the people who buy Fever tickets on the road are only buying them for her. Reporting throughout the season has pegged Clark as the single biggest driver of this league's road attendance, and an empty building the night she sits is about the clearest evidence of that you could ask for. But sit with that for a second, because the thing that should really worry this league doesn't show up on the scoreboard. It shows up later, and it's about who's quietly being written out of the story while nobody's looking.
Just look at how empty it is in here, man. The fans officially no-showed. They officially no-showed this game. They no-showed this game, you guys. They wanted nothing to do with this. You can see all of these empty seats. I mean, just damn. Just damn. I'm gonna get into this one too. Take a look.
Look at it again. Whole sections, dark. And this is the part fans don't always realize they have power over. They voted with their wallets. A road game in this league lives or dies on whether the visiting star is worth the price of a ticket. And the market just gave its answer in real time. The bump she brings to road attendance has been one of the most talked about storylines in the sport, and tonight was the shadow version of it. The same effect running in reverse. Now, I don't think every empty seat is some grand political statement. It's Vegas. It's a weeknight. The Aces have had their own attendance questions for years. But when the building goes this quiet, the moment one player sits, that's not noise, that's a signal, and everybody in the sport can read it.
The fans have officially spoke. They're not going if CC ain't out there. Like, it is what it is. Y'all know, Caitlin Clark, Indiana Fever fans travel on the road. Now, it was still fans there that got some autographs from Caitlin and all of that. She's always going to have some fans show up. Sophie and them, you know, Raven, they always sign autographs and stuff. But for the most part...
And to be fair, it wasn't a total ghost town. A handful of diehards still showed up, still got their autographs. The players signed for anybody who made the trip. So the loyalty is real. But loyalty for a few hundred and demand for a sold-out arena are two very different things. And the gap between them tonight was enormous. That gap is the whole story of where this league's attention actually lives right now. And here's the twist that makes this game so tricky to talk about. The team everybody skipped didn't go out and lose to prove the doubters right. They did the opposite.
I feel, but in terms of the game, the Indiana Fever smacked the Las Vegas Aces 84-68, led by Kelsey Mitchell, who had 27 points and 3 assists. She did not shoot it great, shot just 33% from the floor or something like that. Didn't shoot it great, 7 of 18, 3 of 9 from the three-point line, but 10 of 12 from the free throw line. The girl was getting to the free throw line at will, and that catapulted her to getting 27 points, her third straight game of 25 points or more. Third straight of 25 points.
They won, and they won comfortably. Final score 84-68, and it was never really in doubt late. Kelsey Mitchell carried the load with 27 points. She didn't shoot it pretty, 7 of 18 from the field, 3 of 9 from 3, but she got downhill and lived at the free throw line, 10 of 12, and she will not stop doing this. That's now 3 straight games of 25 or more. And it wasn't just the offense. Holding any team to 68 points is a defensive statement, and Indiana clamped down when it mattered in that second half. So while the broadcast kept cutting to rows of empty chairs, the players on the floor were building the loudest possible argument that they don't need the crowd, and maybe, the whispers go, don't need the superstar either. That's the trap this game quietly sets. Watch how it snaps shut.
Aaliyah Boston was terrible in the beginning, missing layups left and right. Second half, Aaliyah Boston turned up. Aaliyah Boston turned up in the second half. She finished with 18 points, 10 rebounds. She was a plus 16. Aaliyah Boston had a big-time second half, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. She turned up in the...
And it wasn't a one-woman show. Aaliyah Boston looked lost early, bricking layups she normally finishes without thinking. And then the second half flipped a switch. She finished with 18 points and 10 rebounds, a plus 16 on the night, and here's the number that actually matters. 3 of 4 from behind the arc. Boston, stepping out and burying threes. That's a real development, because a big who can space the floor is exactly the type of player who thrives in a fast, everybody-touches-it offense. Sophie Cunningham stayed scorching from deep. The role players hit their shots. If that shot from Boston is real and not a one-night fluke, it changes what this whole roster can be. On paper, this looks like a group that just found its rhythm, on paper, because there's a second stat sheet nobody's putting up on the graphic.
Raven Johnson played a solid game. Ty Harris stinks. I mean, 0 of 4 and 20, 0 of 4, 4 points in 26 minutes. Ty Harris stinks. I don't care how much the Indiana Fever and Stephanie White and them try to lie and make it seem like she's good. No, she's not.
Now let me stay honest, because this cuts both ways. This Fever team is not some flawless machine, either. Ty Harris was invisible, 4 points in 26 minutes, and there are real holes in this rotation that a healthy, elite defense would carve right open. So anybody selling you the idea that Indiana has secretly become a juggernaut is skipping over the same shaky depth that's been there all season. Both of these things can be true at once. The Fever won convincingly, and the Fever are still a flawed team that hasn't proven anything permanent. Holding both ideas in your head at the same time is the entire key to reading this correctly. Keep that in your back pocket, because it matters for the bigger claim that's about to get made. And it matters even more once you look at who they beat.
The Las Vegas Aces look trash without Asia Wilson. I don't know what happened with Kennedy Carter. Kennedy Carter is intentionally not playing hard, not trying to score. She was averaging 20 points off the bench.
Here's that second stat sheet. The Las Vegas Aces played this game without Aja Wilson, the reigning centerpiece of that franchise, a multiple-time MVP, on her night, arguably the best player alive. Pull her out of any roster, and that team looks completely ordinary. So before anyone chisels this result into stone, remember who was in street clothes on the other bench. This is a franchise that's been fighting absences all year, and tonight the timing just happened to line up in Indiana's favor, and it got stranger than that. Kennedy Carter came off the bench and took 2 shots. 0 points. This is a guard who has dropped 20.5 when she's dialed in, and she looked like she had 0 interest in even looking at the rim. So this wasn't the Fever slaying a healthy giant. This was 2 banged-up rosters, and one of them happened to be missing its superstar, too.
Ever since that whole AZ Fudd situation where she commented on AZ Fudd post and was like, yeah, Coach Hammond got me under shackles and I'm still doing this. Ever since she made that comment, Kennedy Carter ain't been doing nothing. She don't look at the rim like she...
And about Kennedy Carter, this is where I'm going to slow down and be careful. There's a reported situation making the rounds where Carter allegedly left a comment on a fan page, something along the lines of her coach keeping her on a short leash while she was still producing anyway. I want to be very clear, that's an alleged social media comment, not a confirmed quote. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know what's happening inside that locker room. But if there really is friction between a talented guard and her staff, that would go a long way toward explaining a player standing on the floor refusing to shoot. Treat it as a rumor, not a ruling. The point isn't the drama. It's that a checked-out Kennedy Carter is one more reason this Vegas team wasn't the real Vegas team.
Jewel Lloyd, trash, 3 of 9. Jewel Lloyd might be the most overrated player in the league. Chelsea Gray was trash, 2 of 11. The lady can't move. She run like she got a piano on her back. She was ass. Chelsea Gray was horrible out there. Jackie Young was okay. But for the most part, this Aces team looked garbage. They look garbage without Asia Wilson. I gotta keep it 100. I gotta keep it real. They look garbage without her. It just is what it is. It just is.
And it wasn't just her. The Aces veterans who did play were brutal. Cold from the field, a step slow, nothing clicking. When your MVP is out, your bench scorer has mentally clocked out, and your vets are misfiring all night. You don't have a measuring stick opponent. You have a team waiting to lose, so keep that firmly in mind, because the takeaway spreading online is not Indiana beat a depleted team. It's something much bigger and much more dangerous, and this is the part I told you to wait for.
I want everyone to notice how much harder Indiana players play when Caitlin is out. Do you think the coach has divided the locker room and has players convinced Caitlin Clark basketball is not the way forward? It seems they play with more effort and energy when CC is out.
Here's the theory that's driving this entire conversation. There's a growing take, pushed on national broadcasts, echoed all over social media, that the Indiana players simply compete harder when Caitlin Clark is off the floor. That the ball moves better, the energy's higher, the defense locks in, and some people are pushing it a step further and asking, out loud, whether the coaching staff has quietly sold this locker room on the idea that Clark's style isn't the future. Now I need to plant a giant flag right here, because that's a serious accusation about real people. There is no evidence any coach has turned a team against its own star. That is pure speculation, and it should be labeled as exactly that. And that's the danger of a take like this. It doesn't need to be true to do damage. It just needs to be repeated enough that a front office starts to believe its own worst idea. Look at how fast it's traveling, and understand why 2 wins without her hands, that theory, just enough oxygen to catch fire. And once a story like that starts moving downhill, the truth almost never catches up to it.
And this is what I'm saying. It just, Stephanie White wants this to be the Kelsey Mitchell show, and this team, that's, you know, they drafted Raven Johnson. This team is built to play without Caitlin Clark. I was under the assumption, and hey, clearly I was wrong. I was under the assumption that the job here was to win with Caitlin Clark and to build around Caitlin Clark. They are clearly decided to go in another direction, which is why they need to just end this thing. And this is why you got Andrea.
So let's set the gossip aside and look at the actual basketball, because that's where this gets interesting. The argument is that head coach Stephanie White has built an offense that runs through Mitchell and Boston, downhill, transition heavy, everyone involved, and that a high-usage, possession-controlling guard doesn't slot in cleanly. And you know what? There's a version of that critique that holds up. When your best passer sits, the offense simplifies. Everybody knows their role, and a team can look cleaner in the short term. That's real. But there is a canyon between the offense flows for 2 games without her, and this team is better without a generational talent, go trade her. One of those is an observation. The other is a fantasy-wearing analysis as a costume. And think about the actual fit for 1 second. A transition team's dream is a guard who can throw a full-court outlet on a rope and hit shooters in stride. That's her entire game. The idea that the best passer available somehow makes a fast-break offense worse doesn't survive 5 seconds of thought. A good coach's job with a player like Clark isn't to bench the system for her or bench her for the system. It's to build the thing that makes both dangerous at once. 2 road wins over injured teams doesn't prove they failed at that. It barely proves anything at all.
Like this.
Call this Biggie Smalls because Caitlin Clark is having a phenomenal year, 20 points, 8 assists. But how do they really keep things going? Well, they have a big 3 and they step up in big moments.
Caitlin Clark is having a big year, but how do they really keep things going? It's Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, clearly, right?
Boston, all-star starter, so many votes. Love this for her, but most importantly, I love her growth when it comes to the string. Nice little dish out, but then she gets the ball out. 9 times out of 10 before, she used to go to the basket on well. It's her assisting. So
Kelsey Mitchell gets down the floor. 3 seconds off the shot clock, and she is already down the floor in attack mode. If she hunts the basket, now, 5 seasons, she is consistent. Hunting shots in transition will be huge.
She hunting shots, all right.
And now watch what the media does with it, because this is where the stakes turn real. That very same night, national coverage is out here branding the Fever's core, sticking a nickname on Mitchell and Boston, floating Big 3 language, building a whole identity around this group. And tucked into the exact same segment is the quiet part they say fast. Clark is having a phenomenal season, 20 points and 8 assists a night. That is a star line by any honest measure. But the framing keeps nudging her toward the edge of her own team's story, like she's a third wheel on a squad she's supposed to be the face of. Here's why that should bother you if you care about this sport at all. Caitlin Clark isn't just a good player, she is the economic engine of this entire league right now. The attendance spikes, the record television ratings, the sold-out road buildings, the reason casual fans learned these rosters in the first place. You watched the flip side of that tonight, in a dead silent arena, the second she sat down. So when the narrative quietly slides toward they're better off without her, hear what's really being argued. That a league should feel relieved to shove aside the single biggest reason anybody's tuned in. That's not basketball analysis. That's a sport talking itself out of the best thing that ever happened to it.
Truth. It is what it is. The fans no-showed once again, but the Indiana Fever handled business. It'll be interesting to see if Caitlin Clark will play next game. But yeah, for a while you're going to be hearing, even though they beat the Aces without Asia Wilson and they beat the Sparks without Kelsey Plum, without Cameron Brink, with a bunch of players off the street, even the two wins, people are going to say the Indiana Fever are better without Caitlin Clark. You just got to be understand. That's just what's going to happen. I don't agree with that, but...
So where does this go from here? The scoreboard says the Fever handled business, 2 straight wins with their star in street clothes, against opponents missing stars of their own. And for the next stretch, no matter what happens, you are going to hear the same sentence on a loop. The Indiana Fever are better without Caitlin Clark. It'll be a headline, it'll be a debate segment, it'll get clipped and reposted 10,000 times. But small samples lie, and this one is lying at full volume. Beating a Vegas team with no Asia Wilson and a disengaged Kennedy Carter. Beating a Sparks team missing its own core. Those are wins you cash, not wins you build a philosophy around. The real test is coming, and it's simple. When Clark walks back onto that floor, does this offense fold her back in and get scarier? A downhill team that now also has the best shooter and passer in the sport pulling the strings? Or does the staff keep treating her like a problem to manage instead of a weapon to unleash? That's the only question that matters. And the way the Fever answer it tells you everything. Whether this was a team that grew while its star was hurt, or a team quietly deciding it would rather win its own way than win the biggest way possible. One of those franchises plays for championships. The other one wastes a gift most teams never even get.
What it is, man. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. This is Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel.
So I'll hand it right back to you. But I want a real answer, not a fence sit. When Caitlin Clark comes back, is she the missing piece that turns this Fever team into a true contender? Or has this front office already built something that runs better without her, and the smart move is to let her go be a superstar somewhere else? Pick a side and defend it, because there's no middle ground on this one. Drop it in the comments and tell me exactly why you're right. If this breakdown handed you something the highlight shows didn't, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe, and send it to that one person you know who's already arguing about this. Then meet me down in the comments and let's settle it for good.